Our first speaker, we were really honored to hear a couple of times. I actually saw him on a little clip somebody had done of him speaking in Canada a couple of years ago. And I thought, man, that kid is great, right? I still call him kid because I feel like I'm really old. But I thought he is great. He has a lot of poise and a lot of knowledge. And you know, some people are young, but they have an old soul. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mature
They just
soul,
have
you mean?
mature and they have wisdom. And I could tell that he had already studied this industry and that he had studied some masters. And so when he spoke at Young Living Convention this last year, was my second cue that this gentleman is going to be such a blessing to all of you today and a blessing to everybody in Young Living as he speaks all around the country. He is from Canada. So you might hear him say A. What you doing, A?
A.
And he is Young Living's youngest Crown Diamond at the age of 25. So if everybody would help me give Adam a great Des Moines, Iowa welcome, we'd like to bring up Adam Green. Woo! Woohoo! Woohoo! Go, Adam! Go, Adam! Woo. Yeah.
Hands off. Thank you. I don't have a Swiss accent, just a Canadian one, so that's probably just as entertaining for you guys. Thank you for having me. Never did I think when I started Young Living full-time 3 years ago, I get all the travel opportunities in the world to go to places like Iowa. It's great. It's an honor to be here. It's my first time ever to Iowa. Yeah, woo! It's beach weather here for Canadians, but it's nice and warm. But I'm very excited to be here today to share with you 3 different times, 2 times during the main session, and I hope everyone will be here for the introduction to oils and business this evening, and then I'll be wrapping up tomorrow for you as well. To give you a little background on me, so you know a little bit about me before I start taking up all your time. I've been using Young Living actually for 15 years. My mom is a physiotherapist and acupuncturist. She's been in practice for 33, 34 years. And she's been using Young Living for 15 years. In the year 2000, she was at a women's health conference, and she met a medical doctor by the name of Dr. Carolyn DeMarco, who introduced her to essential oils. And at that point, my mom thought that aromatherapy and oils were kind of hocus pocus, no real health benefit. They just smell nice, but had no room in an actual practitioner setting. And Dr. DeMarco shared with her that, that might be true for other oils, but with her experience with Young Living, that was not the case. And she went as far to say that she was actually, recommending and prescribing oils as a first line of defense with her patients for certain things. And that caught my mom's attention. So she began, like many of you, with her Everyday Oil Starter Kit. Back then it was 7 oils, so everyone here is getting a great deal. She got her 7 oils and used them first and foremost at home as a mom with 4 children, and then began integrating them into her practice and saw great results. I never saw myself actually engaging in the business. For the first 7 or 8 years, my parents didn't even engage in the business. They had some preconceived notions about network marketing from previous experiences, and so they didn't want anything to do with the business. But through, as many of you probably can know, but they accidentally won a cruise in 2008 with Young Living without trying, just from naturally sharing with people, but making sure they didn't tell anyone that there was a business side. And so I didn't really have any type of business model growing up. In fact, I was kind of anti towards it until I was invited to a home event for a different company when I was in my early 20s by a friend in high school. And I had my mind opened to what network marketing could do as a business model. And so I began to look at that as my way to transition out of personal training into being a full-time network marketer. So I actually quit my job as a personal trainer. My 3-year anniversary of resigning was Tuesday this week, so it's pretty cool. At that point, I was a silver with Young Living. I had a fairly stagnant organization. I'd been a silver for 3 years, maintaining the very minimum levels for silver. I was making probably $1,000 to $1,500 a month, which for a 21-year-old guy, I was pretty pumped on having that kind of passive income coming in. But I left my job for a hope of a better, brighter future. And then here we are 3 years later. We've got a fairly decent organization. We've got one of the largest groups in Canada, totaling just over 23,000 members. I've got 4 diamonds in my organization, a few different platinums, and a lot of golds and silvers. And so that's why Sonia asked me here today, is to help everyone understand how we do things up in Canada. That is where 95% of my group is. And so I can share with you what we do to start new members and to help educate them on how to take their business to the next level. So this was my first actual realization. I want everyone to realize this too, is that time is the only limited commodity. It's the only thing that once you spend, you can't get back. And this becomes a very important thing to know when you start looking at the traditional job market, because what you're always doing is trading your time for dollar. And it never will provide you true freedom, because if you don't work, you don't get paid. And true financial freedom and time freedom, which is what we're likely all going for, comes from when we can earn when we're not working, or when we have leverage in our lives. And so when I heard this phrase in my early 20s, I realized, okay, right now I'm on a 40-40-40 plan. I'm going to work for 40 hours a week for 40 years, and then hopefully have a retirement income of 40% of my working income. And I realized if I stopped training for any reason, I was never going to get paid again. So I really latched on to network marketing as my way to develop time freedom. That's why I'm super pumped for everyone who's here today, because you guys are spending that most limited commodity, your time, over today and tomorrow to be here to learn about these things. And so I aim to provide a lot of value for you so you can see that time as being well spent. And this is the number one thing I'm always trying to help my people understand, is that most people do network marketing every single day. You're just never paid for it. Most people come into Young Living looking purely for a product perspective. They're not seeing any type of business opportunity. They're just looking for better health for their family. But when the products work, and they do, then they naturally will want to share that information with others. And this is very ingrained in our human nature. We recommend movies, hairdressers. I was in a minor motor vehicle incident 3 days ago where someone hit me in a parking lot. And my first reaction was to post on Facebook and find out recommendations for auto body shops from my friends, because instead of just going to Google and saying auto body shops in Red Deer, Alberta, I can instead ask friends who likely have either a positive or a negative experience to share with me, and I will make my purchase decision based on their referral or recommendation. Another very easy one to relate to is Apple versus Android. When the new iPhone 6 came out, people are freaking out over this thing. Who here has an iPhone 6? Put up your hand. Well, there's got to be more than that. But people they're doing pre-orders, they're lining up, they're trying to convince everyone in the world how good Apple is, and how if you're not using Apple, then you're nothing. And these two forces go back and forth, especially through social media, and they're all trying to convince their friends to join their bandwagon or their boat. But really, you get no financial incentive from Apple or Android for promoting their brands, but yet we do it tons. And so this just illustrates how much we already do this. So when you start looking at Young Living, don't get all weirded out that you get compensation for recommending, promoting things. This is something you do already naturally, so it's easy to transfer into that when you realize that you already do it. If we look at, this is a study here from Nelson Global Trust, an advertising survey, and it talks about to what extent do you trust the following forms of advertising. The least likely form of trusted advertising is text ads on mobile phones, display ads on mobile devices, online banner ads. Those are annoying. I almost don't want to purchase from a company that has like a banner ad that pops up. But 92% trust completely or somewhat the recommendations of people we know. And that's why Young Living operates under the network marketing model. Because instead of paying for all these low producing advertisements, online video ads, search engine results, TV programs, movies, radio, newspapers, traditional advertising, they take that entire marketing budget and move it to the top part and just pay people who are recommending the product their best customers. To me, that seems like a smart business move on any company to do, and that's why you'll often find very high quality products use network marketing as a distribution model, because they know that people will be more likely to make that purchase decision. So again, when you start looking at network marketing, Sometimes people, they have a lot of misconceived notions on what that means, but if you can help all of your product users understand that they're going to recommend these products when they work anyway, and that's a natural thing for them to do, and that the reason the company uses this form of marketing is because it's the most trusted form, that really helps overcome barriers in transferring your product users into business builders. All of my business leaders, probably 95%, all started likely saying that I'm never going to sell anything, I'm never going to do the business, and don't talk to me about it. And now they're diamonds. Whoops. Because their first instinct said, oh, I'm not a salesperson, I can't do that, I don't want to be like this person who maybe does something like that. But then with a good product, they naturally find themselves in what we call an accidental business. And I'm sure that's where many people are here. Who's in an accidental business right now? You did not intend to start one. There's more out there. So that's kind of why I'm here today. I want to share with you how we build, how I start people out, and make sure you know how to get started. I highly encourage everyone, when you start looking at getting started right, I think in Young Living we spend most of our time, instead of looking for business builders, I've made my entire business pretty much on taking product users and converting them into business builders. Because again, that makes the most sense. Find someone who loves the product, and then they'll naturally want to tell people about it, instead of finding someone who loves money and then convincing them to love the product afterwards. So it just seems like a good chain of progression, especially with our product line and how we naturally come to the company. So a good first tool for everyone to get is the 4-year career. There's a specific Young Living edition with Young Living leaders in the back, because this is the first thing you probably want to do with a product user is when you start introducing the idea of network marketing, they've got preconceived notions, they don't know how it works, they don't know why it works. And even if you can tell them, if you're a pro and you know how to explain it to someone, they might not be able to then take that information and share it with someone competently after. So when you use a tool to share the information, it makes it easier to duplicate that success. So I can give a fairly compelling business presentation, but if I'm the only one who can do it, then if I'm gone, no one gets introduced to the business. But if we keep our business presentations and intros focused around tools like this, it allows the average, normal, everyday person to introduce the business to someone new in a very easy manner. These books are available in bulk. I think Sonia has them here too as well. So this is something that anyone, when they're starting out the business, should read first and foremost, and they should also have tools on hand to introduce to their new members, because it'll just help them through their initial journey once you can get rid of those reservations and get them actually excited about the idea of a 4-year career compared to a 40-year career, or a 4-year degree compared to a 4-year career. So our first step in anyone, doesn't matter if you're a product or business, is getting people equipped with tools. My goal as a Young Living member is to not treat, diagnose, prescribe. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here simply as a messenger for the company to introduce people, refer them to the company, and then provide them the resources to find out information for themselves. This is a business based on empowerment, so I want to make sure that they're equipped first and foremost with a reference guide or a pocket reference of some sort, because I don't need them calling me at 10:30 at night going, hey, like my baby's teething, what do I do? I don't have any children, so like I do know what to do, but I'm not even going to tell them probably. I'm going to refer them back to a tool, maybe even take a picture of it so they know, hey, Adam's not this awesome guru who knows everything about oils. He just has all the books that he's been telling me to get. It also helps if, for the men in the room, you don't have to worry about talking to females about their period cramps or menstrual cycle or hot flashes, because you can provide them the resources to find that out for themselves. It's just a win-win for everyone. My business is based predominantly on women so far, and especially younger moms. Average age is probably 28 to 32 years old in my group, so a reference guide like the Gentle Babies book from Deborah Rayburn is a phenomenal resource, especially for me as a young guy when I was starting out. 22 years old, I didn't know a lot about birth, thankfully. It's just, hey. The first trade show I ever did was a movie screening of a documentary called The More Business of Being Born. It's like a natural birthing documentary. I didn't know what I signed up for. I was the only male vendor. I was there with my mom. It was awkward at times. But at that event, I did this January 2012, one of the people that I found at that event product user for 6 months. They're now a platinum with a diamond in the organization, and that was not even 3 years ago. So those two tools are essential from a product perspective. I really encourage business builders, if they're hosting home gatherings or intro events, to potentially look at reinvesting back from their starter bonus into tools like this to give to their new members, because it just empowers them right off the beginning. And this is a business based on modeling. Whatever you do to a new member, they will think is what they need to do to someone new. So if you reinvest in them, it'll be a lot easier to get them to reinvest in their group compared to trying to backpedal later. So you make at least $50 off of a premium kit. You can get these books. They're all $25 or less. It's a very small investment to make on the short term when you look at the long-term potential of equipping them. Or maybe you have, if they sign up for Essential Rewards, they get the book, or if they bump the order to 190 PV. Another great product reference that I love is The Chemical-Free Home by Melissa Pepping. I love it because, again, being mainly female-oriented, there's lots of do-it-yourself DIY. I like to just, instead of doing it myself, I just like to buy it. But I've realized that people like to make their own stuff. So that's a great resource for that. And also it fits perfectly with Young Living's idea of creating a chemical-free home. It's a great book title to transition to that idea. Feeds into, what are you using for your skincare? What are you using to clean your house? That Thieves Cleaner should probably be like your absolute go-to choice for a nice secondary product outside of that starter kit. And then these are my top business tools that we like to use. Obviously, the 4-Year Career Young Living Edition. Again, the reason we like that one first is because we're taking someone who loves the product. Now we need to help them love network marketing and then tell them how to do it. So that's where the 4-Year Career comes in. I love GoPro as well, and it's got some great information on why network marketing is a good model. But I do think that the 4-Year Career is probably the hands-down best tool for that. So after they get the 4-Year Career and they understand how it works, they say, great, this seems like a great business model. I love the product, but how do I do it? That's where something like GoPro, Building an Empire, or Rock Your Network Marketing Business would come in. Those are much more how-to books with more of a systematic step-by-step. Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers. This guy is in a company that I think has a lot harder product to sell than we do. It's a service-based company, and he's been around for, I think, 15 years, and has personally recruited like 1,500 people. Like, that's a lot, like 1500. Has anyone here recruited 1,500 people? Has anyone here recruited 200 people personally? Exactly. So most, I haven't even hit 200. I think I'm at like 197 or something. But most people don't need to recruit that many people into their business. But this guy is very good at teaching it. It's like a reference guide just for business. He even talks about setting the exact temperature for a room to get the best results. So if you're one of those people who wants detail after detail after detail, he might be a good person to go to. And his, his brand that he builds off of is called Foster Mentor, meaning he's trying to be that mentor that maybe you didn't have starting out. I didn't have a lot of upline support when I first started out, and frankly still don't. I do most of my learning from crossline leaders. So these types of materials can be those mentors for you, so you can learn from people who've been around a lot longer than I have, or many people have. And then there's a new book called Making My First 10 Million. This is a great business intro piece. It's like 30 pages long. You can probably read it in 10 minutes or less. And it's a really good, I think, are you gonna, yeah, perfect. You guys are all gonna get one from Sonia here right now, but you'll see it's super thin. Again, 32 pages long, pretty big print. And you can fit it, if you're a guy, you can actually fit it in your pocket, so you don't need to carry like a man purse around or anything. It fits in every pocket. I'm pretty sure Brian made it that way, so it fits in every pocket. But this is a great intro, especially if you're trying to maybe recruit people from more of a business perspective, or people are asking you, well, how do you make money? How does this work? Why are you doing that? I like this tool, and you can buy them in bulk, and they work out to $1 a piece. So the way I look at tools especially is, I try and let the tools do the talking, and Sonia and I are going to talk about that for I think a full 45 minutes later about tools. But the reason tools are so powerful is because it takes you out of the equation and makes it less dependent on you and more dependent on the tool, and people can use tools. So if I can buy 50 of these books for $50, if I hand this to 50 qualified people who are genuinely interested in what I do, the odds on one of them not enrolling are very, very slim. And if you enroll at least one person for every 50 books, you've broken even, and you've got 50 prospects to follow up on. Does that make sense? Another great book that's not up there is called Beach Money by Jordan Adler, and he's got like a small, like 3-page section, and it's called, I think it's called Getting Really Rich by Breaking Even. And it's all about if you can engage in business activities, whether it's traveling to an event, using tools, reinvesting, like with the reference guides, if you can break even, then everything beyond that point is profit. And if you're setting yourself up for a better profit, then that's a great investment. So I love these things just for how compact they are. It's really easy to travel with. Whenever I go anywhere, I've got these and the 4-year career books in my bag with me. I just got back from 5 weeks in Europe, and I specifically brought 10 4-year career books with the idea of like, I'm not coming home with these. I'm going to find at least 10 people throughout the trip to hand these out to. So unlike my wife's bag, my bag got lighter and hers got heavier. So it's a great way to build off of. So use these tools. The more dependent you are on tools, it can speed up duplication, which is how you'll get an exponentially growing business. And I've got, I think, 45 minutes to talk specifically just on that subject matter. So reference guide. The Rock Your Network Marketing Business, some people may not be familiar with that one. It's written by Sarah Robbins. My group really liked that one because it's written by a female, so I don't know if there's like some, I don't know, there's something about it that they just latch onto potentially a little more than the male written books, and there's not a lot of probably super dominant female network marketing figures who have tools, so I found out about that one last year at the Mastermind event in Florida, and my girls have really latched onto it. And then those 2 CDs on the bottom are also great audio tools that are good to empower your new business builders with. One's called Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. Anything by Jim Rohn is good, food for your brain. So if you're ever trying to find new information, Jim Rohn's a great guy to go to. And then Making the Shift, Your First 7 Days in Business, that's by Darren Hardy. He's spoke at the Young Living Convention 2 years in a row. He's the publisher of Success Magazine, which I subscribe to, and you might want to too. It's a great CD. It's just over an hour long. I've probably gone through it 15, 20 times. Goes through those mental roadblocks people might encounter right away, friends and family, rejection, having your all-important why. So those are great intro pieces, and all these books are available. You can get them bulk from the suppliers for great rates, or I'm sure there's lots here as well. But I'm a big investor in this field because I've seen the results. I think I've personally purchased just over 7,000 4-year career books. Young Living as a whole is the #1 purchaser of 4-year career books in the entire world out of any company, which I think is pretty impressive given our product-focused background. That tells me that there's a lot of people who are interested in how our business model works and might not know how to go about that. I believe our numbers are over 40,000 books have been purchased in just under a year and a half. So it's a great tool to invest in for sure. The second most important step is you have to become a product of the product. You have to utilize Essential Rewards. It's very hard to share or promote a product that you have no experience with. Reference guides can be quite handy for that, or testimonials from other people. I don't have any personal testimonials on my own body with something like Progestins Plus, but I've got great other ones that I can share from other people that I'm sure will make any man or woman want to purchase that product. As a business decision, you need to look at reinvesting in your own business and your own health through Essential Rewards and monthly ordering, especially at the 190, 250, and 300 PV promos. One of the probably the biggest pitfalls of this business is it's too cheap to get in. People start their business for only $150, and because of that, they treat it like a $150 business. Michael McDaniel, he's a Royal Crown Diamond, told me early on, if you treat your business like a business, you get paid like a business. Treat your business like a hobby, you get paid like a hobby. And so I started trying to adopt a business mindset in my business and encourage that in my people. And it just makes sense to order for 300 PV every single month because you get the free products. You get, like this month, I think they've got, is there an enrollment voucher this month? Yeah, so again, that's a great way that if you enroll somebody with that enrollment voucher, you've already earned $50 back. You're getting extra ER points at 300, I believe. So there's no downside really to finding that $300, and you just get so many more products. At $190, you get orange, cinnamon bark, and clove. And those are 3 oils that don't come in your kit that most people might not even have on like their top 10 list of things to order, their wish list. I'm sure everyone here has that wish list they work off of. So those monthly promos are great to introduce people to products that they might not have ever had before, but they won't be without again. It's also great if you're running events, using product promotions or samples. 2 events ago, I did a feature on alkaline. I just got a couple little test tube looking thingies. I filled up 20 samples of alkaline and said, who here suffers from, what's the proper wording for this? Who here wants to support their digestive health and have less of a warm feeling after eating Mexican food? Woo! So I think you get where I'm going. I'm supposed to be talking business, not product. But so, I gave samples to people there, and then I said, who here wants to share a testimony? A couple people talked about how it helped them through those times of discomfort. And all of a sudden, there's people out there who are gold leaders who have never even heard of it before or never even thought of trying it. So we're finding ways to purchase products that other people might not have tried, and once they use them, sample them, then they will hopefully use them again in the future and put them on their order. And of course, looking at transfer buying, taking products you're already spending on purchasing that are in your budget and transferring those to a Young Living product. First things to look at are the Thieves Cleaner, the Thieves Hand Soap, any of those cleaning products, because if I'm really trying to promote my Young Living business, and then someone comes over to my house and I've got Purell hand sanitizer and I've got XYZ brand of soap from Walmart or whatever, they're going to see I'm not actually becoming a product of the product. Whereas like the Thieves hand soap, that's a great subliminal way to advertise to people. They'll come over to your house, you're not even talking oils, and they're going to come out of the bathroom going, what kind of soap is that? Where did you get it? When I was in college, that's one of the products I did have all the time because my mom sent it with me. And so I could always tell who washed their hands at social gatherings because they would all come out just pumped on the hand soap. So transfer buying products, finding money that you're already spending, and then making that part of your Young Living budget. Obviously, the Essential Rewards program is the best way to do this. 10 to 20% back in free product, discounted shipping. There's product packs that have discounts that you can only get on ER. And they reward you the longer you're on Essential Rewards, the more value you get back. Most people get pumped about, credit cards with 1% cash back, and they put everything on it so they can get that 1%. Young Living automatically starts you at 20%. It's probably the best loyalty program I've seen out there when you start comparing it to other stores and ways of promoting good customer usage. And making sure that people understand, hey, you can change your product, you can change your date, you can even skip a month if you want to cancel. There's no penalty. You literally, there's no downside to using it. And the only downside if you don't use it is you're not getting all that extra free product. So this is what I want to encourage people in their first month or two to be fairly hands-on with their personally enrolled members and helping them order through this program. Because normally people have a reservation towards an auto ship. They don't want to get a year's worth of Ningxia Red in their garage and have to feed it to their children forever and ever. Well, they probably do want to feed it to them, but they're just afraid of getting caught into something that they've had a bad experience with before. So we need to help them realize Young Living is different and walk them through that month or two. Put the reminder in your phone and my phone so I know when your next order is coming, so I can help to make sure you don't get the same product twice. I don't want you to have a bad experience. And once they get it, month 1, month 2, they're seeing the benefits. They're now seeing the points add up in their virtual office. There's so much more functionality in the new VO for Essential Rewards and cashing points and such. So this is truly the backbone of your business, because at the beginning of every single month, every single person in the room, including me and Tom and Sonia, we all start at 0. But what you have accumulated in Essential Rewards points or Essential Rewards orders is you're not starting at 0. You've got committed orders from 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, and so you really don't have to work as hard when you work smart by getting most of your members on Essential Rewards and making sure that you're showing the value in that program. So those are the first two things. Again, you'll notice that no matter if you're going from a business or a product, those are two first things you should be doing for everyone, making sure they're equipped with products or product reference materials and making sure they know about essential rewards. So you could be coaching someone on how to do the business before they even do the business, if you know what I mean, because you're already working them through those first few steps. The next thing that you want to do is once you've decided that you want to do this whole Young Living thing, you need to define why you want to do it. Because if you don't have a compelling reason for why you want to be sharing Young Living, going to these events, taking time out of your life, and transferring time to these types of events and such, then it'll be really easy for you to get discouraged, to quit, to let an unassuming coworker or family member discourage you with a comment. But when you've got a real rock-solid reason why you're doing it, it makes it so much easier to move forward. And I want to know all my personally enrolled members' whys, because when they have an issue and they start becoming discouraged at times, I can go back to their why and use it for their own good. So if I know this person, they're doing this because they want to be at home with their children, and they have a presentation where 8 people are supposed to come and 1 person does, and they're discouraged, then I can remind them why they're doing it and why it's worthwhile to keep moving forward. And then I like to share some form of a story from my own past or another leader's past on how they work through something similar. I know how you feel. I felt the same way at this point, and here's what I found. How many people have done an event where a lot of people were supposed to come and very few did? So I'm going to tell you a story. May of 2012, I was in Minnesota doing a speaking event. I flew back to Canada just for one home event because I was trying to get some things going. And this person told me, you know what, I'm going to have 15 people there. And I'm like, sweet. So I fly back for this event. 2 people come, and they're both family members, so they probably felt like they had to be there. And they both got their Everyday Oils kit. They didn't sign up for Essential Rewards, and they both didn't reorder for 4 months. So I could have looked at that initial investment of time into those people and been like, where were the other 13 people? These 2 other people they only bought their kit. That was a different comp plan, so it didn't even reward me nearly as much for that help. But fast forward 4 months after that event, one of those members, she had a 2-month-old baby at the time. She was on maternity leave, and she was looking for ways to support her children's health naturally. And she hosted her first home event and hit Senior Star in August of 2012. Fast forward 1 more year, she retired from teaching. Fast forward 2 more years, both her and her husband are retired. And I married her sister. Whoops. So that's Jamie and Chelsea Flaman. They're in the back of the 4-year career. They're also my new sister and brother-in-law as of 4.5 months ago. But she was one of those people who came, told me she wasn't going to sell anything, didn't want to do the business, had other things on the go. 2 years later, she hit Diamond. Both her and her husband are at home with their 4 kids. They're 30 years old, 7 years old, 5 years old, 2.5, and 2 weeks. They hit Diamond 3 days before they had their 4th baby. Talk about multitasking. But so you never know. Be grateful at those events for the 1 or 2 people who did come instead of worrying about the 8 people who didn't come, because whoever is there right now is the one you're supposed to be talking to. We could have 1,000 people in this room, or we could have 20 people. My presentation would be the same because I know who's meant to be here is here right now, and they're going to get from it what they need to hear. Right? So define your why and figure out what it is for you. So if you're sitting here and you don't actually have that compelling reason right now, then before the end of today or even the session, figure that out, have it written down and tell somebody, and then make it a habit to get that from all of your new members when they're starting out, because it'll help you with attrition and just keeping them more motivated going forward. The next step that we like to go through is figuring out who do you know, who can benefit from our essential oils, our nutritional supplements, our chemical-free cleaning line. Probably everyone. Who could probably use a little more money, whether it's $100, $500, $1,000, or maybe wants to have a career change. Likely, almost everyone in your life fits into one of those 2 categories, but for some reason, we don't like to actually write those people down. And some people might call this, building a list, and then you're already getting like chills, going, oh, why is he talking about this? But it's a very important step for your own mind to write down who you have out there that's a potential for you to talk to. I've found that when I write somebody down, that for some reason, I don't know how to explain it, but for some reason, I always end up in scenarios where I get to talk to that person, they talk to me, I run into them later, or I'll look back at this list 6 months later and find out that 8 of the 10 people in the top 10 have already enrolled somewhere in my organization. So, but for a new member, the biggest mind virus or fear people have is too many people already do it, I don't know enough people. Especially if you're in an area that is booming. Obviously, Iowa is a great oil country right now. Sonia was telling me that 2 years ago, Young Living wouldn't even come here, and now you guys are putting on like 300, 500 people event. So kudos to you guys for making it happen out here. But in my city, I live in Red Deer, Alberta. It's a population of about 90,000 people. It's the 3rd largest city in my province. That's our version of states. And it's not by any means a large metropolitan center, but yet we are the largest individual point of sale for Young Living in all of Canada. And that's bigger than all of Toronto, all of Vancouver, these big centers, and little old Red Deer of 90,000 people sells more product than anywhere else. So this is a big misconception I hear is, well, everyone's already doing it, everyone I know already has Young Living. But when I look at our density, we've only reached about 2 to 2.5% of the entire population of just Red Deer alone. So there's still 98% of the people out there that haven't heard about it or signed up. But again, the initial thought for people is, everyone's already doing it, I don't know enough people. If you have a list written down, and who here has Facebook? Everyone has Facebook. If you want to be my friend, let's be friends. But that's a list already built out for you. It's already been accumulated. You can work through it, find out who you think your top people should be to talk to initially. But if you start inviting people to your first home event, and you think of your top 5 people right away, and you say, okay, these are my gold mine people, they're going to be the ones I'm going to launch with initially, and they all say no right away, you might be feeling pretty discouraged. But if you've got 95 other people written down that you're going to talk to, then those 5 people seem way less significant than the 5 people who said no. So this is a very good mental exercise for all new members to do, to help them realize how many people they know, and for you as a sponsor to be able to help them work through that list so they're never running into that the pitfall of, I don't know anybody else. Because when they have this written down, I can go through their why, and I can say, well, if you're having troubles getting people to a home event, well, let's see who here have you invited. And lots of times, they haven't invited anybody except for a Facebook event. They put a little event up saying home sharing session, and they just invite all their friends and then hope they're going to show up. They're not picking up the phone, they're not calling, they're not making that connection. Or it might not even be just inviting them to a home event. Maybe you're going to touch base with them, find out how their kids are doing, just build rapport in general, and allow Young Living to naturally come into the conversation. Don't think of this as being like a hit list or anything like that. Think of it as being like a rapport building list, or who do you want to extend and build your relationship with more, because that's truly what our business is built on, is building relationships. And there's people that I've talked to for 2.5, 3 years, never ever promoted or pumped. I've used Young Living around them, but I've never asked them for their credit card. I've just kept building that rapport, and eventually they're being driven insane about what it is, and they say, would you just tell me what this is and how I can get started? I've heard about it, and I know you do it, but I've never pulled the trigger on them, so they're almost coming to me then. And this is probably the most crucial, well, I'll say every step's the most crucial, but if I look at why our group has skyrocketed from a group of 250 people to 23,000 people in the past couple of years, it's because we've got a lot of really small meetings going on. The 5 M's, more meetings mean more money, or more meetings mean more momentum. If you want to grow quicker, then likely having more meetings going on is a good first step. If I do 2 meetings per month for 12 months, that's 24 meetings. What if Tom Reed does 24 meetings in his first month? Is it unfair that he might get better results in 1 month than I'll get in a year? No, but often we look at other people who might be building faster or having more success, and we don't necessarily see what they might be doing. We just compare our end results and go, oh, well, this isn't fair, but maybe they're working twice as hard or more efficiently, they've got more going on. It's much easier to build this business fast than it is slow. Momentum is kind of like that. The more and more you get going, it starts taking off quicker. In the back of the 4-year career book, there's a little car diagram. It talks about year 1 and 2 might feel like you're pushing a car up a hill. You're doing the maximum effort for the least amount of results. By year 2 to 3, the car starts moving on its own as it gets over the hill, and by year 4, then the car is rolling on its own regardless of if you're pushing it or not. And that's what we're all hoping for, is getting that passive residual income where people are being enrolled without you having to be there. And so for us, we found that the most effective way to encourage duplication and momentum is promoting small home gatherings, home presentations, home parties, whatever you want to call them. That's what our group has been built off of, 100%. We do have people who will do like trade shows and vendor shows. Those have a higher cost to get in. And likely, one of the facts of network marketing is however you introduce someone to the business or the product is how they think they need to introduce someone to the business or product. So if you enroll someone at a vendor trade show, ingrained in their initial DNA of Young Living is they think, okay, if I want to do Young Living, I need to do what they just did. If they don't want to do it, they won't share. So you want to do it in a way that's easy and simple to duplicate. So when they see you at the home event and they go, okay, that doesn't look so hard, this actually looks kind of fun, they can see themselves in your shoes effectively, and then allows them to transition into that business builder stage a little more easy. So I want to make sure that my meetings are simple and duplicable. So we encourage using a scripted presentation or even holding, one time I just held a blank piece of paper to make it seem like I wasn't the professional at the front of the room. When I first started out, I would go and do a meeting and I would memorize every single thing I could. I would talk about sesquiterpenes and monoterpenes and the benefits of peppermint and menthol and blah, 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 blah. And everyone would sign up because they're like, wow, this kid's smart. He knows what he's talking about. I can, trust him with what he's saying with these oils. But they say, but I could never do what you do. And so I found myself a very slow-moving business because if I wasn't doing the meeting, no one was because they saw me as being an authoritative figure. That's why people with medical backgrounds, like my mom, that's her biggest downfall. For a practitioner to succeed, it can be quite difficult because they often have credibility behind them, and so people they'll trust what they have to say, but they will automatically think, I can't do what you do because I don't have your background. Does that make sense? So for my mom, she was having issues with her business growing and duplicating outside of our organization because she was talking to some of her clients and friends, but they all thought, I need to be Carla Green, physiotherapist, acupuncturist, medical background, have a clinic to be successful. Whereas when we started focusing on a parental demographic, they say, hey, this is just a parent just like me. What they're doing isn't that hard. They've got this scripted presentation right in front of them. If you can read, you can do a home event. And they try and make it as simple as possible instead of being that guru or expert at the front of the room. So that's our goal with those meetings and momentum. And I do a larger monthly event for my team in my home city in Red Deer. It happens on the second Tuesday of every month. We do like 45 minutes product, 45 minutes business, encouraging people to learn more about other products outside the Everyday Oils kit, and then having a nice little business tie-in, which everyone will see tonight if you're at the intro event. But I'll do that and help try and convert the product users into business builders. But this is a closed event, meaning we don't allow people who aren't Young Living members into the event because I don't want to actually recruit anybody through that event because they will then think, okay, when is Adam speaking again so I can come back and bring someone to it because that's how I was brought into the business. They will think it needs to be done through that, and so our recruiting then, or enrollment, if you don't like the word recruiting, will be done on a monthly basis based around that meeting compared to, I say, we bring in all the members, we learn about the product, we support everyone in that sense, and then everyone disperses into the homes and they build things more on a weekly or a daily basis, so it allows us to have maybe 30 days of building in a month compared to one massive day of building. And so that's something that I did that initially, to be honest, because we have so many leaders in this small area that are all the very same demographic. They were having a lot of overlap. Some of their best friends were signing up with someone else because they didn't know that their friend was doing it. And so the initial reason for that rule was to stop somebody from bringing a non-member into the event and them seeing 20 other of their friends there going, oh, and then picking someone to sign up with instead of the person who invited them. So it was initially set up as just like a safety type thing to make sure that everyone got along nice and continued to play in a safe environment. But it's really worked out quite well for us to encourage monthly home meetings and ways that we could encourage duplication in that sense. And the last thing I'm going to talk about here for the morning session on getting started right is following up. You may have heard this over and over again, but the fortune is in the follow-up. Not everyone will sign up on the first time they've heard about Young Living. I think industry standards suggest that I think takes up to 7 exposures on average for someone to make a purchase decision. I think with Young Living and our products, it's less than that. But I just want you to think about following up with everyone who you've talked to previously, because when someone says no, it's not no forever, it's no, not right now. A great analogy that I like from Sarah Robbins' book, Rock Your Network Marketing Business, is think of yourself as a server at a restaurant. Her job is to go around and offer people coffee. If the person says, no, I don't want coffee right now, the server isn't offended that they don't want coffee. They just keep moving on to the next person because that's their job, and then they do their rounds, circle back, ask in, hey, would you like a top-up? Nope, not right now. Again, the server's not offended. Think of yourself in the same way. When someone says no, don't be offended, don't take it personally, but be sure to follow up and reevaluate that person. Chelsea, my new sister-in-law, who's Diamond now, got a wife out of it, that whole story. Her sponsor is someone that took 3 years for me to enroll from the first time I introduced Young Living to her. So if I hadn't followed up, and in reality, she followed up with me, because when I retired from personal training, she was in her 40s, had a job she didn't like, lots of debt, low job satisfaction, and she called me up and said, hey, if you're 22 and you're not getting another job and you're making a living off this oil business, maybe we should talk. I've been looking for someone or for a business that I could do from home to provide extra income, and if you're doing well enough at this, then maybe we should talk. We had a meeting. She used the product for 6 to 7 months and said, don't bother me, don't call me. When I'm ready to do this business, I will call you, but I need to take care of some health challenges first at home. I honor her wishes, and then when she called me for her first meeting, that's where I met Chelsea, who is now a Diamond. So think the nice advantage that I have with 3 to 4 years of building full-time and then a couple years as a hobby before, or not even building, is I've been able to see lots of different leaders in different scenarios go from a brand new member to Diamond and see what it took to get them. So the seeds you're planting right now might not produce a Diamond for 4 years, and you might not even get the enrollment for 3 years. But it's important to still keep moving forward. A good farmer will be looking seasons ahead, and they're making sure that just because in Canada, we've got a very low harvest season, unless you want to harvest snowbanks. But you have to always be planting those seeds and coming back through to collect the harvest, because if you plant it and you never come back, it can just grow, and someone else will pick the fruits of that planting. So those are our 6 main things. I've got I also encourage personal development, attending events like this, making sure they're getting connected with their upline, setting specific measurable goals, because you need to have that kind of a roadmap laid out for you, and I want to know what my members' goals are. I will treat someone differently if their goal is to earn $500 a month compared to someone who tells me their goal is to retire them and their husband, because that produces different results from me and from them. But that's all I have for you this morning with my time. We want to make sure that we're keeping this thing moving forward. So those are our first initial steps for starting out any member from the beginning. Our goal is to enhance and create duplication and leverage, which will be my next topic later on today. So stay tuned, and hopefully you got lots of value today. So thank you.